falls today on lowering inflation numbers. So that's pretty interesting. We're going to talk about that. Look at a few headlines here. CORZ's got something super interesting going on with their institutional buyers. We're going to talk about that today as well. Everything is up right now. It's just looking like a fantastic kind of day today. Let's get right into this right now. But first, smash that like button, subscribe if you've been with us a while and haven't done so yet, and check out, don't forget to check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description as well as in the channel bio. So let's get right into this. So today we had jobless numbers come out today, and we saw U.S. jobless claims fall for a second week to lowest since July. That's actually really good coming in on the heels of that good inflation report yesterday, meaning that the Fed will likely be cutting into strength in the economy here next month, which indicates that the soft landing, at least for, while the cutting is happening, the initial cutting is happening, is potentially a reality and something that is very rare for the Fed to pull off. They're patting themselves on the back right now. I tell you right now, this morning, Jay Powell's just sitting in his den, patting himself on the back for doing such a good job here, pulling off that elusive soft landing. Now, they haven't actually done it yet, but the market is pricing it in as if they have. And if you are looking at your portfolio this morning, you are seeing that that is exactly what's happening with crypto stocks. Our Bitcoin miners up 5-6% this morning. They are falling a little bit right now as the news is being digested, but you know what, everything is looking pretty good today. Here's Reuters is saying U.S. weekly jobless claims unexpectedly fall. So this was an unexpected windfall of good news, I guess, as far as the news outlets are concerned, and that is driving stocks higher, or at least it was initially at open here. So let's take a look at CORZ. All right, this is the CORZ chart. This is the daily chart. It's looking quite nice. This is on the ATR bands. It's in a bad spot here in terms of being in the lower half of the ATR bands, but we expected that to happen this here, and all my drawings are going to come back here, but this right here is a descending channel. What do we know about descending channels? That they tend to break to the upside. If this broke to the upside, it would return back to the highs. But that's not what I want to talk about with CORZ right now. I'm actually going to switch over to my mobile here, and I'm going to go into the company profile on Webull, and I'll bring it up on the screen here in editing later, but I'll talk about it right now. So State Street, all right, you can see here State Street on July 31st. So basically in the month of July, State Street increased their position of CORZ by 332%. I'm telling you. And that means that that was before the drop. That was before this big drop on August 5th. So that was back in July. So they bought it sometime between the price, somewhere between the price of, let's find where's the first day of July. There it is, July 1. Somewhere between the price of $9.29 and $12.30, State Street increased their position by over 3x. And immediately after, it dropped all the way back down to $6.69. I bet you there's going to be more buying right in here on August 5th, 6th, and 7th. I bet you when September comes around and we get this report, you will see that they increase their positions further. Because I mean, who's gonna sit there and watch something they just bought drop by 45% and not buy more? That's just crazy to me. So I am expecting to see even more institutional buyers for CORZ in the month of August. You can see that. Let's see who else bought more. Mirai Assets Global. I don't know exactly who they are, but they increased their position, or at least they took an initial position of 100%. Increased their 97,000 shares. ProShares started taking a position in CORZ in July. So let's see, that's another big one, ProShares, if you know those ETFs. BlackRock increased their position in July by almost 12%. But the big one was State Street. So there's a huge institutional buying coming into CORZ last month and likely happening this month as well after that big drop. If they saw fit to buy it between $12 and $9, why wouldn't they be buying it at $6? So I would be expecting to see more of that in CORZ right now, and that is the big news that happened there. That's the big thing underneath CORZ. Now let's take a look at MicroStrategy real quick, and then we'll get back to some of the miners. MicroStrategy. So my put that I had sold on MicroStrategy is not going as amazing as it was previously. Now I do have some receipts for that. I'll put those on the screen as well here. So actually, let me look at them and talk about it for a little bit. So right now, I'm actually making a decent amount of money on my MicroStrategy. And let's see. So I bought and closed it once, twice, 3 times, and I'm sitting on a currently open one right now. Go away, ad blocker. Okay, so I've bought and sold a put 3 times in the last week and a half. I'm sitting on a currently open one right now. I've made about $300 doing that so far, and my currently open contract is worth $489. Currently down. Currently, that contract is down $48, but the theta on that contract is about 0.8. So every day the value is decreasing by $80 unless the price goes down closer to the strike price. It is currently $2 above the strike price, and honestly, if it gets up to about 140, I will be pretty decently profitable on this position, and then I will close it at 60% profitability if it happens by tomorrow or Monday, and then I'll just open another one, and I will be at the end of the month, we'll see how much money I've made with MicroStrategy running one single cash secured put on it. But right now it's looking pretty good. We've got this bull flag forming right here, which is also forming on the Bitcoin chart. If we look at the SMAs, I don't think there's anything too spooky in the future. Not really. We could go all the way up to 150 on this bad boy, which would be, probably be able to make me about $1,500 to $2,000 by the time it hits up there, because every time I hit 60% profitability, within a couple of days, I sell that contract and I open a brand new one if it looks like there is strength. Sometimes I wait a few hours before doing that open, but I like right now, you can see on the MACD, the bars are turning white. The RSI has crossed over the signal line. This looks like it's ready to go. So as soon as I hit 60% profitability, I sell another contract a little closer to the money, a little higher up. And then once that hits 60% profitability, I close that out and open up another one a little closer to the money, as long as things look bullish. As soon as things don't look bullish anymore, I'll be a lot more cautious. But right now, while they look bullish, I will be doing that. And if it turns against me and it does so in a bad way, then I'll just roll it down. And that's what we've been doing right now with MicroStrategy. Let's also take a look at Bitcoin real quick before we move on. Yeah, Bitcoin's actually not looking too bad. We have been hitting all these SMAs right here between 62,400 and 61,232 is a significant amount of resistance. When we get above that, so once we close above and open another candle on the daily above 62,441, we are going to fly up to $70,000 very quickly as soon as we get that. Now, what we do know about Bitcoin is, though, when things look bullish, they could flip bearish. And when they look bearish, they could flip bullish. Bitcoin loves to fake you out. Okay, loves it. We did print some tweezers. So we did print some tweezers here the last 2 days, and we did open up kind of ugly. But we did get a nice wick on the bottom here at around $57,000. So I'm not too concerned about this bearish tweezer right here from August 13th and 14th. If we can get back above 60,664 and close over that in the next 2 days, I would not be too concerned about that at all. We are basing quite nicely here. We keep coming to this $58,729 level and moving up from there for now. That is holding quite well. And as long as we stay above that, and let me draw a line there. As long as we stay above that, I'm really not too concerned about Bitcoin price right now, and I will just continue to do my MicroStrategy play on the way up. Okay, let's take a look at some miners. CleanSpark. CleanSpark is actually, okay, so I like where CleanSpark is right now. I've been buying down here. So I've increased my position of CleanSpark by a few hundred shares while it's been down underneath, $12, right? Anytime it's under 12, I'm actually looking at this quite nicely. Now, the MACD is giving us some hints that CleanSpark wants to come back up to around this $15 level. That could be a good swing from, these lows down here underneath, $11 all the way up to 15. That's $5 a share. You buy a few hundred shares. That's pretty sweet. The RSI has crossed above the signal line. That is also looking really good. CleanSpark wants to move up there. CleanSpark is a strong company, and we will look quickly at some of the earnings for Mara, CleanSpark, and Bitfarms here in a moment. I had Copilot summarize them so I could do this quickly in one video without having to do a 30-minute video for each of them, so we can get through it quickly and just move on to the next thing, because I missed those while being on vacation. All right. Let's take a look at Mara as well, since I'm going to do the earnings on that as well. Let's see, Mara also not looking bad. You can see that the MACD is printing white bars now. It is creeping up. The RSI has crossed above the signal line on there. Mara is basing in this area between $14 and $16. And I'm pretty sure that in a couple of months, you'll be quite happy if you picked it up around that $14 to $16 range, because we'll find ourselves quickly up around like $19, $20 as soon as it breaks out of this little range here. And as soon as we're done with this aggressive institutional selling, controlled selling, this aggressive controlled selling, and you can see we started flattening out. So you notice right here in this area, this was a very aggressive sell-off right here, very aggressive. and now we're flattening out. Instead of the angle has changed. It has changed from something like a 45 to being flat now, like 0. That is a good sign that there is potentially a pump on the horizon for Mara. So pay attention to that. This is going to be a technical level. Now, this could end up being a bear flag. This could end up being a bear flag. If Bitcoin falls back down into the 40,000s, again, that's a bear flag. That'll end up being a bear flag. We'll know it's a bear flag if it breaks beneath that 1464 level and opens another candle beneath it without touching that level. If it does that, we're likely coming back down to like 950. Yeah, back down to 950 if that happens. If it ends up that is a bear flag. But I am willing to hold through that because I do think that sometime in the future, around Christmas time, we will be seeing prices in the high 20s again on a lot of these Bitcoin miners. You know, at the top, it'll be back to the top of the range around that time. And of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Just my thoughts on these charts. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. So Bitfarms had some bad news. The court in Canada decided, we knew this already, that they decided that their poison pill at 15% wasn't legal, and they pushed it up to 20%, and that news officially came out today in terms of like being reported. But the MACD is looking good. It's about to cross on the daily. We are just hanging out right under 50 on the RSI. This thing is primed to do a jump all the way up to maybe 286 to maybe even $3. This thing could go all the way to $3 off of the bull flag it is currently forming on Bitfarms. So watch out for that on Bitfarms. Now let's look at their earnings report real quick. So I just had Copilot summarize the earnings reports real quick. I'm just going to read through them real fast. So first one's going to be Mara. They increased the revenue by 78% to 145.1 million for the quarter. They did have a net loss of about 72 cents per share, which was significant in terms of how much they missed, which is they missed by something like 500%. It was bad. They missed quite badly. Let's see. Yeah, they had a loss of about 85.1 million there at the adjusted EBITDA. Their hash rate, they increased by 78% in the quarter, up to 31.5. That's pretty cool. Their first one over 30 for the public miners that are traded. So that's pretty great. They produced 2,058 Bitcoin in the quarter, which was a 30% decrease from Q2 in 2023. I don't know why it's quoting 2023, but okay. But they did produce over 2,000 Bitcoin in the quarter, that's pretty good. I like that, especially at post-halving. That's pretty great. Let's see, their unrestricted cash in Bitcoin increased to 1.4 billion. So they're sitting on a treasury of 1.4 billion. They're going to be issuing very low cost debt in order to buy more Bitcoin. Mara is very well capitalized. If they can get, and they have been increasing the efficiency of their hash. They were operating at like 27 exahash, I think I said yesterday on yesterday's video. They've got 31 total. They can energize the remaining 31 and actually mine with it. Whew, man, if they could actually be mining with 31 exahash, I mean, Mara is going to fly. So that's pretty cool. And now that they're issuing these senior notes, they're doing less diluting and they're going to be moving more towards debt. So that is pretty interesting. I kind of like that little move here. To do 3 business teams, acquired data center in Texas, partner with Kenyan government, and launched Casper mining. Okay, so that's it. We already have talked about those things. We don't care. No, okay. Let's move on to CleanSpark. All right, CleanSpark. All right, I'm just giving you the quick and dirty summary here. CleanSpark. So apparently this was their third quarter somehow, something to do with the way that they do their financials, but we're not really worried about that. So the revenue increased 129% year over year to 104 million. They did have a net loss of 236 million, or $1 per share. That was a pretty significant drop. That was bad, but they are cashed up right now in terms of being well capitalized. They are going to be upgrading their mining fleet and have machines that are actually still quite valuable on the open market that they will be selling or holding on to potentially to mine even more and increase their hash at strategic times. If you know anything about CleanSpark, they're very strategic. I'm very happy to be holding CleanSpark, especially at current prices. Their adjusted EBITDA, they'd had they had their loss to about 12.7 million with the adjusted EBITDA. Their hash rate went over 22 exahash, which is a 24% increase over the quarter. They had a 100% increase in Q1. In Q2, they increased that another 24%. They are just on a heater here, bringing in more and more exahash and getting things just running for their company, and it's fantastic. They also secured a $50 million line of credit with Coinbase. Notice how we're not diluting anymore with the lowering interest rates on the horizon, with the rate cuts on the horizon, notice some of these big boys looking more interested in taking out debt than diluting us. I like that change. Cheap money is on the horizon, and cheap money sends us into the stratosphere with these on-risk assets. So I'm actually very excited to be seeing the fact that these companies are now looking at and initiating taking on debt versus diluting us. I do like that. Now, if they start getting too heavy on debt, that would scare me. But just at the preliminary rounds here, where they're just beginning to start to take on debt, I'm actually very, very excited about that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, they're replacing a significant portion of their mining fleet to maximize efficiency, and then they'll look at either selling those Bitcoin miners or holding on to them to energize at strategic moments in time in order to mine more Bitcoin when it's strategically beneficial to them. Let's see. This is all their holdings. This is just all their liabilities and assets and just their balance sheet. But they have working capital of about 531 million, so about what a third of what Marathon has. So, not bad, not bad, with only $11 million of debt. So that's really great. They're actually very financially strong right now, which is why that $50 million line of credit they are taking with Coinbase or having available with Coinbase doesn't concern me whatsoever. They could pay that off, no concern whatsoever if they were to decide to pay that off at any time. Let's see, Bitfarm. So their revenue, they made $42 million, down 16% quarter over quarter, up 17% year over year. So down 16% quarter over quarter, up 17% year over year. So, bad and good. Their mining margin 51% compared to 64% in Q1, but there was a halving involved, so yeah. What can you do about that? They increased their hash rate to 11.1. We talked about that yesterday from 6.5, so that's a pretty significant increase, and we were very happy to see that. It was supposed to be 12, and they do have 12 worth in miners. They don't have them energized yet, and they have been getting a little slow on that this last month and a half, but they've been having a lot of other issues halting up their progression there for Bitfarm, so we are being a little bit forgiving there for them in that respect. Let's see. Key developments, expansion. They added 220 megawatts of capacity in Paraguay, Pennsylvania, and including the largest site to date in Paso Pe, Paraguay. Okay, they've got some new sites on the horizon with 120 megawatts of power in Pennsylvania and an additional 100 in I don't know how to say that, in Paraguay. And let's see what else happened. Yeah, we got the new CEO. We know that. We like Ben. He's a pretty efficient miner. He's very good at the mining, so we're very happy with that. And they are aiming to grow to 35 exahash in 2025, which means they want to compete with Mara. And that is why I hold this stock. They want to compete with the biggest publicly traded Bitcoin miners. And I like that because right now they are trading at $2. And I do think that we will be seeing these lower prices for maybe a few more months or a few more weeks or months, unless something like really drives up the market. But for now, I am waiting, accumulating slowly. I do think now there's one thing we need to talk about on the horizon. Now, I just mentioned accumulating, all right? So I know this is a bit of a all over the place sort of video right now, but we need to talk about VIX. All right, we just mentioned accumulating. And when we're accumulating right now, we need to talk about VIX. This is why I'm not just going in double-fisted buying everything as hard as I can, because of this VIX spike that happened on August 5th, okay? So when we see a spike, we've only seen a spike this high, was it 3-4 times in history. One of them was COVID. One of them was the great financial crisis in 2008. One of them was the dot-com bubble. Okay, this rivals those. Every time we've gotten a spike this dramatic, there has been another spike within the next few months. So if we get another spike, now it might be lower. It might only be like 40 or 50, something like that, but we will still see a significant drop in all equities when that happens, and it is potentially looming in the very near future. And when that happens, that's going to be the day I'm buying everything. That's going to be the day I just empty my coffers into equities and just get going long on everything. So that is why I'm accumulating slowly right now. I'm like buying 50 here, 100 there, slowly picking them up, waiting to see if I'm going to get that 50 VIX one day where I can just like buy 1,000 of everything, 2,000 of everything, whatever I've got the money for at that time. All right, so that's what we're looking at there. What else is happening today? Let's take a look at Bit Digital real quick. How's Bit Digital doing? It is still in this descending channel, but what do we know about descending channels? They tend to break to the upside. If this broke to the upside, it would be looking to move up to about 358. That's pretty interesting. IREN, what is IREN doing? IREN is doing a very similar pattern to Mara. We had this very aggressive controlled selling right here, right? at a very aggressive angle. And what's happened basically since August 6th, started to flatten out. It is flattening out. That angle went from being like 45 to about 0. It's looking like an obtuse angle there. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Cool. I like that. I like seeing that. Price is breaking this line here, and it's breaking it sideways. Now, there is a bit of an ascending move here in terms of this trend line going up here and flat. Now, that could be seen as a bullish pennant or a bear flag. Time will tell. If we break under and close under like 680, I would be expecting us to honestly find support somewhere around 566, which is where if we get that big VIX spike, I would not be surprised to see this thing hit about 566. Let me go ahead and draw that here. Maybe, no, honestly, if we get another VIX spike, 472. That's what I'd be looking at, 472. In fact, I'm going to put an order in for like 300 of these bad boys at about 480, actually, and just put it good till canceled and see if I get that fill. That would be pretty fantastic, honestly. So that's what I'm looking at there with iron. Let's take a look. Were there any others I wanted to talk about today? Riot. See what Riot's doing. Same sort of pattern, right? We had this significant, insane drop off and flattening out here. Price is coming to that 757 level. Like Riot's been in a rough position here for a while. We really want to see this thing break above 835, and once it breaks above 835, we can get a move up to like the 930s, and then we'll hit a whole bunch of resistance all the way up to $13, and then we're open to 16 once we clear that $13. Until we do that, honestly, Riot's going to be stuck under $10 for a while, unless we get like a significant, decisive move out of this thing. Who else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about Hut, same sort of thing. It looks exactly like Bitfarms, exactly like Mara, exactly like Iron. They're all looking the same right now. We're looking right now to potentially find support, maybe a little bit lower if there's a VIX spike. But currently we are all forming pretty much bull flags on just about all of them right now. But they could be frustrated if there's a VIX spike or if Bitcoin decides to fail on us for some reason or another. And that is basically all we're looking at right now for all of these. What else do I want to talk about? There's a couple of things that are in a good position right now. Like, okay, so NVIDIA. I am running an NVIDIA put. I have been running an NVIDIA put for a while now. Basically since before this drop and into that drop, I went a lot harder. We're actually at 120. Ooh, I should probably look at that today. This is looking really good. I like yesterday's candle, that inverted, that hammer candle pushing up real hard. Yeah, I like that. I think we're going to get into like probably about 125 before we hit like real strong resistance on NVIDIA. Actually really like that a lot. Yeah, we could be, yeah, maybe even all the way up to 128. This is good. I like this. So we've got above, so we closed above the mid ATR band here at 114.86, and we opened above it and we're pushing up from it. That gives us room to the top ATR band at 128, which is where I'll be closing my current put option that I have on it. And I think what I'll make about $700 on that. That'd be great. I opened it like yesterday, so that'd be really cool to see me make that much money in a couple of days. I'd be very excited about that. And then I'll be looking for it to, and then I would drill down into like the hourly chart and look for like, okay, once it does that, right, I'll be looking for it to come back to like this yellow, like 118, or even this blue down here at 114, and then reload that put again on NVIDIA. You know what we haven't looked at in a while? Adobe. Adobe, let's take a look at Adobe real fast here. So Adobe, oh, I like Adobe where it is. Especially with this push up right here, this is good. We close above this yellow line here at 543 today. I'd be looking for it to move up to like 580. And as soon as we clear 580, we're looking at 615, 630 again on Adobe. Adobe's looking great. Tesla was also looking pretty good. I like where Tesla is right now, actually, as well. Now, we do have a bit of a bear flag forming, like this right here. This is a bear flag, right? That's a bear flag. But Tesla likes to frustrate bear flags. It loves doing that. It's like one of its favorite things to do is frustrate a bear flag. Now, this flag that we're doing right now honestly looks exactly like this and exactly like this, right? Which were both followed by some pretty dramatic drop-offs. So I would be watching for this thing to price to get above this yellow line, which is about 221. I'd like to see price above 221. And once I get that, I would say that this bear flag is frustrated and it's going to move all the way up into the 250s again. That's what I would say there on Tesla. So I do actually like where Tesla is. Now, if this breaks, I'd be looking at 185 as a low, potentially 171. So it could get all the way down there. I mean, look at this thing. Back in April, we had like all the way down. Man, that was just such a good buy. Anyways, yeah, I'd be looking for this to either break it as a bear flag and where it would likely get caught at 186 and start turning around again, or looking for it to break 221.12 And then once that is, I'd be looking forward to move back up into the 250s on Tesla. I do like where Tesla is right now, though. I am watching this pretty closely right now. I do want some Tesla at these prices. So anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.